Please hang up and try again.
So we've covered so far 4 steps. We've dealt with our roots. We've exchanged our doubts for certainty. We've learned to see ourselves through God's eyes and to set limits and to motivate ourselves by the use of principles and values, exchanging principles and values for better ones. Let's go to the 5th step. And the 5th step is all about understanding how to put reason above emotion, reason in charge of emotion. Chris, we know that we should not use any electrical equipment in the bathroom, anywhere near water,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Unless we want to be electrocuted, right?
And we don't want that.
No one wants that. Water and electricity should never be mixed. And in any house, you must have both. You must have water, you must have electricity, but they must have their own pipes, their own electricity runs in cables, and water runs in pipes. You must never mix them together. Otherwise, there will be an explosion. It's the same with reason and emotion. The reason why most people who we could say are living within their old selves, the reason why these people experience a lot of problems in their lives and make bad decisions is because they allow their feelings to run their lives.
And you do that especially when things get tough for you, because you're so emotional about it. You let yourself feel the sadness, the depression, the anger. So instead of thinking at that time when you need the most to use your reason, what you do is you use your emotions. You just feel, and you say things you shouldn't say. You don't mean to say, and you say them. You do things you don't want to do, and you do them. So many people, Renato, have gone, to drugs because of that, because of a problem in the family, or because of something that happening at home. So many young people, or even husbands, went to drinking. They do things they didn't want to do, and they come home dragging themselves, and then they have another problem. So we all feel things.
Feeling is a lot more natural than thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't need to make any efforts to feel.
It's part of the human being.
We wake up already feeling a certain way. Throughout the day, we have all kinds of feelings. We don't need to intentionally think, oh, I'm going to feel this right now. We just do. We just feel. Because feeling has to do with our senses. Vision, smell, taste, and all of that. All our senses are on all the time. But it's interesting that our head, our brain, sometimes needs to be activated. We actually need to stop and say, okay, let me think about this. So thinking is not involuntary. Thinking is something that you have to do intentionally.
Yeah. When you want something really great in your life, you have a goal. So many times you do this. You don't feel like studying, or you don't feel like going on a diet. You don't feel like exercising. But because of your goal, you do them anyway. So that's when you use your head, when you use your intelligence. And you don't go by how you feel. You just go and do what you have to do. So the same thing is when you have problems. Instead of going just by how you feel, you have to use your head. You have to do the right thing. That's when many people make the mistake, because deep down they think like this. I'm so upset. People have to understand me. People have to put up with whatever comes up next. And so they make a mess out of that problem. The problem may have been small, but then now it's huge, because now you've said things you didn't mean. And then you have a, the problem just extends
It
itself.
escalates. It keeps growing. That's the mistake that most people make. Most people live by what they feel, and they do not put their head in charge of their feelings. You see, you will never feel your way out of your problems. Let me repeat that. You will never feel your way out of your problems, but you can think your way out of them. That's the way to solve problems. Like we say in the Bulletproof Marriage book, emotion is the wrong tool to solve problems. You don't go into work in the morning and say, I'm going to fuel our sales up. You think a solution to put your sales up.
I remember, many times we did this in a marriage. And we were thinking we were doing something to solve the problem. So I remember you used to give me the silent treatment, thinking, well, she's going to feel so bad for what she's done. She's going to change, right? But we were having another problem now. The same thing with me. I would cry. I would, complain. So while we used our feelings to solve our problems, we kept having them over and over again. They kept coming back. So maybe for the time being, we would, okay, fine, let's leave it a bit behind us. But then it would come back again because they weren't solved by the head, only by the feelings. And feelings just, sometimes you're okay, sometimes you're not. When we started solving them by the right thing, okay, this is what we're going to do about this, that's when they stopped coming back.
I had to learn to master my feelings in order to overcome the problem of giving you the silent treatment. Because every time that you made me angry, anger is a feeling, I would let that anger run my decisions. So I would go quiet, I would ignore you, I would put up this face and just ruin the environment between us. But I learned that I need to put my head in charge of my feelings if I want to get rid of the silent treatment problem.
And I'm thinking here, how many people started this 7th step to a new you with us and aren't there anymore? Why? Because of feelings. Not because they were using their head, but because of the way they felt. So many people just give up because they don't feel the difference yet. They don't feel anything. And so they give up on doing what's right.
Yeah, some people gave up because they didn't feel like getting up on Sunday morning. Some people gave up because they didn't feel like making the trip to the church. Some people had a fight the night before and decided they got mad and they didn't come on Sunday for all kinds of reasons, all kinds of feelings. And the truth is that we need to learn, the number one truth we need to learn about this subject is that sometimes we feel great. Sometimes we wake up in the morning and we are just ready to take on the world. Sometimes we wake up in the morning and we feel like crap. We feel like nothing. We feel like a zero. So what are we going to do then? If we are going to do what people tell us in the songs and in the movies, do what you feel like, whatever you feel, go follow your heart, do what you feel, do what feels right. If we're going to follow that advice, we will be in big trouble. You cannot follow that advice. If you want to succeed in your life, if you want to rebuild yourself, then you need to put that old self that is run by feelings to death. And you need to take on a new self that puts the head in charge of the heart. The head that says, I'm going to do what is right, whatever I feel. Doesn't matter the way I feel. I'm going to do what is right, even if I don't feel like it.
And we're not saying that you are not going to have any emotion. Of course, we are always going to have emotions. They are part of our lives. But what we're saying is when we should not use our emotions. When you have to use your head. And a wise person knows exactly how to work with both of them. So you're not just insensitive And you're not just so sensitive. You have that balance between them. So you still have your emotions, but when you have to deal with a problem, you use your head. So when you take hold of this, when you have possession of this understanding and you really practice this, you're not going to be hostage of your problems anymore. They're not going to make you feel horrible anymore because you're going to be using your head and not your feelings. So it doesn't matter, if I'm angry. It doesn't matter if I am disappointed. What am I going to do about this? So you're actually going forward with that. You're not stopping your life in the middle of nowhere because of something that was out of your control that happened in your life. And so many people are standing there, just in the middle of a desert. They don't move forward because of their feelings.
How do you do that? How do you put your head over your heart? How do you use your intelligence over your feelings? Well, you stop and you think. You don't act on impulse. You don't act on instinct. You don't act on what you feel like. You learn to stop and ask yourself, is this the right thing to do? What is the outcome that I want? If my wife makes me angry, I may feel like shouting at her. I may feel like letting my anger out on her. But if I ask myself, what's the outcome? What do I want out of this whole situation? What I want the solution to the problem. I want this problem not to repeat again. I don't want to create another problem. And at the end of the day, I want to sleep hugging her in bed. That's right. I don't want to sleep on one side of the bed or with my back turned towards her and she on the other side of the bed. So with my focus on my goal, I learn to stop, ask myself, what's the outcome that I want? And what do I need to do to get to it? So regardless of what I feel, I go ahead and do what I have to do. This is how we put our reason over our emotions, over our feelings. Now, do this in your relationships, do this in life altogether, and you will see a huge difference in the outcomes that you will have. And the good news is that so few people do this. So few people do it, that if you start to do it, you will automatically jump to the top, maybe 5% of the population. And that will give you a huge advantage in your life. That's the 5th step to rebuild yourself. There's more on the handout that you will receive today. And we look forward to next week, the 6th step. God bless you.
Bye-bye.